Are your NBA team for Sunday, April 3rd. Yes, we are a soldier down. Gino is down. Now, the rumor is that he had some traveling issues, but I think we all know the odds on him waking up on a bench somewhere in Texas without his pants on is what are we thinking here? Minus 145. That's what happened to him after his bachelor party soiree.
I
So
was going to juice it to minus 160, man.
Wow, minus 160. And he's known Gino a little bit longer, so that actually might be a legitimate odds movement here. And speaking of line movements, we'll sort of jump right into it. Just while we were talking before the show, this Lakers Nuggets game went from 2.5, 3.5 to 6.5. All the Laker props get pulled off the board. I know I had a play on a Laker prop. I'll talk about it anyways, even though they pulled it down at most outlets. This one makes me a little bit nervous. Something's up, right? Something's up. All the Laker players are pulled down. The line moves 3 points in the matter of 5 minutes. So something's up in this game. We've been trying to find out what's going on. If you have something out there in the Twitter universe and you know something, hit us up, add us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at BTVBet. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow Eric, follow myself, follow all of us. We have tons of good shit every single day. Eric's been on a roll in the NCAA. How'd your Final Four picks go yesterday?
Oh my God. My boy Mayak over 2.5 threes, straight cash. Had UNC game, UNC second half, UNC plus 4.5 for the game, and the first half over pushed at 71. Unfortunately, my boy Jay Wright and Villanova couldn't get done for me, but North Carolina, it rolls on.
Yeah, it rolls on. Like I went 0-2. I had Villanova covering and Duke covering, which is why I don't cover college basketball. I don't know shit about college basketball and should never be covering it. So if you see dueling tweets out there, it's me, it's Eric, it's college basketball. Take Eric's. Don't take mine. Mine's probably going to be a loser. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But let's get to the NBA thing. So you've got 4 picks today. I had 3. I'll sort of talk about this. I had LeBron over 7.5 rebounds. He's gone over that number 10 of 13 games. It's a big-time game. The Lakers 1 game out of that final play-in spot in the playoffs. But now with all of these things being pulled down, we're not sure exactly. I'll be shocked if LeBron doesn't play in this game, to be completely honest. But you have plays on the other side. The only way you can do this now is Denver, right? That's the only known commodity in this game is Denver and Denver player props. And you got to play in this game, right?
I got to play a prop. I took Will the Thrill. I took him over 14.5. I mean, you just look at it. The Lakers are worse at defending the point guard position and giving up 25.6 points per game. He's gone over this for the last 5 games. So Lakers are bad defensively, especially on the outside. I expect Will to just be living it. And even if LeBron plays, I think that's going to sacrifice Gordon on the offensive side because Gordon will have to defend him. So I like Will to go over that.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. I was looking at some Will Barton props too. Just any guy that's going to get the LeBron defense. I know it sounds weird, but he's not the same sort of intense defender, and he's got to save his energy on the offensive end. So he actually gives up a lot of fantasy points. Yeah. He will sleep on defense. So when you get those, 3s and 4s that LeBron's going to be matched up with, which you probably will see a lot of Will Barton if he does play, it's a nice way to go. So I guess my first official play, since we're not sure if LeBron's going to play, and I love that rebounding prop, I love my 3-point under props. Deangelo Russell under 2.5 threes is at minus 125. Look, he's gone under that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 9 of his last 12. If you keep going, 12 of his last 15, he's gone under 2.5 threes. Last time he played Houston, he didn't hit 5 threes. Houston's a bad defensive team, but Deangelo Russell just hasn't really been right. I know he had a decent game the other day, took 12 shots, but if you look at his shooting percentage over the last, month and a half, it's way down. His points are way down. He's only gone over 20 points. I'm seeing here once, twice, 4 times in his last 15 games or so. So it's just not there. Anthony Edwards and Towns have sort of taken over that offense. I've got the under 3-point prop for Deangelo Russell today. I'm a little bit nervous about it because of Houston's defense, but he's just not getting there. And minus 125, I'll take a shot.
This show is only 15 minutes, so I can't go on my spiel why I'm not a big D'Lo fan.
Please do. Let it rip.
I totally love it. I'm just not a fan of his game. Pick and roll, driving to the hoop, but anything, if you're relying on the hip J's, I don't think he's going to hit it. And my big thing with him is you look at his plus minus, he's a losing player. You know what I mean? Like teams do better when he's off the court. I think that's Anthony Edwards and Towns' team. Ball's going to be in their hands. Yeah, I love that play a lot, man.
Yeah, and when you bring up the plus minus, you can look at it right here. So in the last game where they beat Denver, he was a +1 in 36 minutes, but before that, -22, -19, -12, -14, -10. Couple pluses here, some blowout wins against teams like the Lakers, and when Milwaukee had nobody playing for him in that game, +15. But you're right, a lot of plus minus for Deangelo Russell. I tend to
It's
agree.
kind of
So
crazy when you think about it too. Like everyone like thinks he's like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like when you think of it and then we just look at it, his teams do better when he's like not even on the court. So
yeah, it's kind of sad. His career's been a weird career, right? The Deangelo Russell thing has just been a weird career. Talented guy, kind of a mental midget. Obviously, we know how he ratted out his teammates, and
was he the one that ratted out Nick Young?
yes, he was. He's the one that or was it Nick Young that ratted? No, I think it was Deangelo Russell it was Deangelo Russell that ratted out Nick Young, and that's why he had to go.
Yeah. With Izzy, because he was hanging out with.
Yes,
that's
exactly right.
Was it, dude?
Yeah.
My next play is I love targeting players that go home for the first time. We got Lowry going back to Toronto, and just looking at it, I got it right when it opened up at over 12.5. It's actually creeped up to 14.5 right now. I still like it at 14.5. He's gone over 3 of the last 5 games. He's averaging during the last 5, 16 points per game. And I was looking at his home and road splits. He actually shoots better, 2% better from field goal and from 3 on the road. On the road, he's actually averaging 3 points more per game. And last night after the game, Butler said, we're going to get Lowry his tomorrow. So I think this is going to be the Lowry show. I like over 12.5. I like that bad boy in.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to take more shots than he normally does in this game, right? And he's sort of an emotional guy. That's the NBA is an emotional sport. It's a team sport, but it's so individually driven, and it's the psychology of the NBA. We talk about it all the time. Is so much different than in every other pro sport, where it really impacts results. Effort is everything in the NBA. Most of these teams are pretty equally talented outside of these are all terrific, unbelievably talented, all-state #1 players in the state. Every team has them. It's all about effort, coaching. Like Miami, crappiest 1 seed in a long. Like, when was the last time? This is not a very good 1 seed, right? No. It's just not. Like, are you looking at Miami and going, yeah, they definitely beat Milwaukee in a series? Hell no, you're not. If Milwaukee's right, Milwaukee pounds on Miami. So they're a weird 1 seed for me. Phoenix, for that matter, in the Western Conference is a little bit strange as well. But I do think Phoenix is actually a good team. Miami, I could see getting bounced. Honest to God, I could see him getting bounced in the first round by either Atlanta or Cleveland. I really could.
I think that is definitely a future. We should definitely lock in. Let me ask you this, though. Looking at the lay of the land in the Eastern Conference, who do you think could win the title?
I think it's Milwaukee. Boston's played well since December, no doubt about it. They've sort of turned it around and they can ratchet it up defensively. It's just hard for Tatum and Brown.
Of Williams is going to hurt them though, just because they have no. Yeah, we saw it in the game against the Heat. Like those guys were driving, and I mean, it's been a while since I've been on the basketball court, but I think I'd be more opposing underneath the rim than Big Al Horford. You know what I mean? Like
Grant Williams or whatever crap they're throwing back there. I think to me it's Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I know people like the Sixers. For me, the James Harden thing makes it harder for me to think. If you've ever watched James Harden in a big game, get ready for 3 for 28. Yep. He's completely exhausted. He's always comes up small in big games. We have no idea if Joel Embiid can even stay healthy for a playoff run. For me, it's Milwaukee. When you have Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis, and they're all right now, Brook Lopez is getting back in, which he's back in and sort of getting his minutes. That's an underrated. Brook Lopez is an underrated asset for them. He can block shots. He's a big guy, and he can shoot the 3. He spaces the floor for Giannis.
Splash mountain, man.
Splash mountain. So I think Milwaukee. If in the East, like for me, it's Milwaukee or nothing.
Yep. I agree with you 100%.
I know Brooklyn too, but that team's just a mess, and it doesn't look like Ben Simmons is going to have the mental fortitude to even try to play. I don't know what's up with that guy. Now he wants to sue for $20 million because he sat around and pouted like a baby.
But I mean, like right now, Brooklyn's in the 10 line.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a 1-game scenario with Hayward coming back for the Hornets, I mean,
Can you imagine if they get knocked out by the Hornets? I don't see that happening, but it could happen. But then they got to get so if Brooklyn wins those 2 games, then they eventually pop up and they face Miami in the first round. Are we taking them over Miami?
Oh, for sure.
I think you are. I think you are, right? So
I would for sure.
It's interesting. I like that the NBA did this with the 10 teams and the little play-in spots. I think it adds a little bit more intrigue to it.
Let me ask you the same thing about the Western Conference, while we're at it, because I love diving into futures. I mean, sure. I actually I found, what was it? Cade, I think it was 7-1, and Giannis 5 plus 650 to win MVP. Cade Rookie of the Year, just because everyone kind of votes recency bias. And I'm trying to figure out what team I want to lock in for a future to win the title. And I agree with you on Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee, it's theirs in the East. The West, I mean, do you see anyone being Phoenix?
Nah, that's the thing. Like, I love Memphis. I love Memphis when Ja Morant is there. I really want Memphis, even though I think that team should be in Seattle. I really do. Like, why the hell does Memphis need an NBA team? Get the hell out of here. Put a team in Seattle. That's neither here nor there. I mean, if Chris Paul's going to be healthy and Devin Booker's healthy, Ayton's healthy, Phoenix is probably going to win the West. If by some miracle the Clippers somehow got Kawhi and he was engaged and got a few games out of him, maybe they could make some noise in the West. But
I mean, just look at the lay of the land. I mean, the Warriors are in a free fall without Steph.
Mm-hmm.
And something big in my eyes happened in the game. It takes a lot to get Draymond rattled. Draymond followed Jay Crowder down and then got in his face and started talking stuff. So something's
Golden State's done. Without Steph Curry being healthy and ready to go, they're toast. They need Steph Curry. Without him, they are absolutely toast. Memphis.
What about the Mavericks? The
Mavericks. Now, that's the team. That's the team. So if the Mavericks can get hot from the field, because Dallas plays terrific perimeter defense. I believe they're number 1 in fantasy points allowed to opposing guards. They defend the 3-point line well. Basically, every time Dallas is on the slate, you can go find 3-point unders and take it because they are going to defend the hell out of that 3-point line. A little bit guard heavy now with Dinwiddie, Brunson, Luka.
But doesn't Dinwiddie being there take a little bit of the load off Luka toward the end of the game, though? That's kind of why I like it.
It should. Dallas, I would say, outside of Phoenix, I think Dallas would be the best shot unless Ja Morant was fully healthy in Memphis. I think Memphis would have
I mean, they're 24-1 right now. 24-1.
Dallas is 24-1.
Dallas right now to win the NBA, to win the ship, is 24-1.
You can do a whole lot worse.
Out of
when are they to come out of the West?
It's down. They took that down.
Oh, they took it down. See, because that number,
because we don't know what's going on with the Lakers. But I regressed.
No, it's good. I love it. I love it.
You get a chubby talking NBA 3-pointers. I get a chubby talking futures.
That's it. There we go.
My next play, I'm staying in Toronto. We're talking about this one off the air. You like it too. Gary Trent Jr. over 2.5 threes. I'm looking at this. He's gone over 3 of the last 5 games. He, no doubt, one of the better defensive teams in the NBA. But when you do a kind of a deep dive, they give up the second most 3-pointers per game to opposing off guards.
Right.
In that backcourt, we talked about it, how you've been cashing the Van Vliet unders in threes and cashing the Trent overs. I like Trent to go over. He's the floor extender there. He's only, in my eyes, he's the only one I would trust shooting a 3-pointer in that starting lineup.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the Fred Van Vliet ones are interesting because he can get hot, but they always juice his number. Now they're starting to get a little smarter now, but it's always sitting at 3.5. Today I think it's at 2.5 at a reasonable price. I think you mentioned FanDuel has it juiced up to 3.5. Mine's 190. So you're not betting.
You can't play that.
You just can't play it. You can't play it. But when they have it sitting at 3.5, I take it almost every time. And Karl Anthony Towns, they'll put up 1.5. I'll take that under Nikolai Vucevic. They have a lot of them, but once they start pumping that number past 170, 180, then you stay away from it. But if you get a decent price, you could go for it. I have one more play. I took Chris Paul over 14.5 points. He's done it in 3 of the 4 games since being back from injury. He's gone over. He missed it in the last game. Kind of a lethargic game for Phoenix. They lost to Memphis by 8. He only played 30 minutes. Did have 11 assists in that game, but only took 6 shots. Unlikely that happens again. He should have double-digit attempts. Back in Oklahoma City, he didn't have the greatest time there, so a little bit of a revenge narrative for those Oklahoma City fans. So I took him. Let me make sure the number hasn't changed on us. Chris Paul over 14.5 points, minus 110, done at 3 out of 4. And that Oklahoma City defense, absolutely putrid. So even if this is a blowout, a lot of people try to avoid the blowouts for their props. And I do agree with that with some things like rebounds and assists. When it comes to points, if Phoenix is beating the absolute living shit out of him, Chris Paul most likely had a pretty good game and has scored his points. So I'll take the Chris Paul over 14.5 points, minus 110.
My last one, I'm actually going to a side, and sadly, the streak has ended. No more Isaiah Stewart props for me today. I don't even know if he's going to play, just because Pistons have been playing so well. I mean, they're like moving out of that top spot. I think this is one of those must-lose games, so to speak, against the Pacers. I locked in the Pacers minus 2.5. I mean,
wow,
I'm excited.
That takes balls right there.
I'm excited because I feel like with Weaver coming in, I feel there's a light at the end of the tunnel for the Pistons. Next year, Grant will be moved. Cade's team now get one of the bigs in college basketball to go along with Cade and Stewart and Bay. But I just kind of feel like this is a game they need to lose. And I think the front office realizes that to improve their draft position. But you know what I realized? You know what I just realized when I was talking? If the Lakers don't make the play-in tournament, that lottery pick they don't have.
Right.
Like, geez, dude.
It's bad. Everything's bad for the Lakers.
And I mean, I don't mean to rub it in because I feel like my franchise has a plan and yours is just running by the seat of his pants. But
it's tough to be a Lakers fan this year. And I kind of told you, I love the Lakers. I've been a fan, for over 30 years. But this group of like Russell Westbrook, I'm not big. I can't stand Russell Westbrook. Just plain and simple. He's fun. He's athletic. I've watched him play live. Super fun to watch live. But he's a stat compiler and not a winner, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've always been a Kobe Michael guy, never really a LeBron guy. I mean, LeBron's great. I'm not saying he's not great. And you can argue, second or third best player of all time. You certainly can't put him above Jordan. Everyone who does that is absolutely insane. But nonetheless, he's great. But he's just not really my favorite guy. Dwight Howard, I absolutely cannot stand. Like on the Mount Rushmore of sports douchebags, he's right up there with Kyrie Irving, right? You got Dwight Howard, you got him, you've got like Ben Roethlisberger, Kyle Busch, NASCAR, douchebags, punchable face too. Kyle Busch has the most punchable face in the history of mankind. Him and Eli Manning, I swear to God, you just want to punch him right in the face. And then Anthony Davis, softer than Charmin. I've never heard of a more overvalued superstar. The bubble championship doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I think that's kind of fluky. I think we're sort of seeing that with Miami and how that all played out. But
did you hear this Duncan Robinson story? Like, I'm gonna tell this. I get a lot of heat stories because of my buddy.
Okay.
So you know how he was just going like crazy in the bubble, like couldn't miss at the bubble.
Right.
So then toward the end, when the championship was there and he was just going like lights out, they allowed you to bring like friends or family in.
Right.
So he brings one of his boys in and they're in the cafeteria, the restaurant, whatever, eating. And he's there with his boy. LeBron walks by, dabs him, talks to him for a little bit, turns around to his boy. His boy, like, jaws on the ground. Jaws literally on the ground. He's like, dude, your boy's with LeBron. LeBron knows who you are. Ever since that moment, nothing from Duncan Robinson. Like,
he's so like, and why did they continue to start him? Like, why does Duncan Robinson play 34 minutes?
I have no idea.
He's like PJ Tucker now. It's without the rebounds or the toughness.
But it kind of goes back to your point. Like, it's such a mental thing. He was on that cloud nine, and his boy came in and just kind of gave him a real reality check. You're a dorky kid from Michigan, and so.
That is absolutely brutal. That's hilarious. So should we recap our picks? So I've got
let's recap our picks.
If that comes back up, and let me do one final check here as the weird things happen.
I looked on Twitter and it says LeBron is out.
LeBron is out. So there we go. And that probably explains a lot of the movement. And what does that tell you? That tells you the Lakers are packing it in, right? Yeah. They're packing it in. They're not even worried about this play-in game now. It's a little bit interesting, so I have to stay away from that. So I like Chris Paul over 14.5 points, Deangelo Russell under 2.5 three-pointers. Like I said, he's gone under in 10 of 12. God, it goes on. The list goes on and on for him. He's gone under 2.5, 4 straight, 5 straight, 6 straight games, 7 out of 8. I like the under, even though I'm a little bit nervous about that Houston defense. And then the Chris Paul over 14.5 points against a putrid Oklahoma City team.
I got Will the Thrill over 14.5 points. Lowry over 12.5 points. Gary Trent Jr. over 2.5 threes. And the Pacers minus 2.5 against my Pistons.
I like that. Taken against the Pistons. I do actually like the over in that Portland San Antonio game too, sitting at 230.5. If I'm going to bet a side or a total for the whole game on this one, I kind of like that over. Neither one of those teams are interested in playing defense. Spurs can score some points, and they, unlike the Lakers, appear like they want to make this playing game. So I kind of like that over 230.5 as well. That's going to wrap it up for us. Don't forget, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. Check us out on Twitter at BTV Bets. Check out Eric at ET of T21 Sports on Twitter. Is that correct?
Close enough.
E-Toft. Oh,
E-Toft, man.
I was like, E.T. He really liked E.T. So do I. I love that movie. But be sure to check out all of our content at BTV. We appreciate you guys so much. And, of course, good luck on all your wagers.